This is going to be the London sweep back test and kind of give you some stats. Um, this is something to get you started with, okay? I didn't try to really filter anything out. I only filtered a couple trades out because like on one, the 1800 candle looked like a news candle or something. It just shot up like 80 points. And if I see something strange like that, I'm probably just not going to take the trade. Maybe wins, maybe loses, but it's not normal, and I don't want to trade against stuff that's manipulated or something like that. I also filtered out the trades. If it's over 120 points, the range, I'm not going to take it. So the couple that were that big ended up being losers. So I just decided if it's, that's what I use to set the limit. 120, over 120 points for the range tends to go the wrong way. So there's some nice winners that are 115, 110, whatever. But the 140 to 127, they both lost. So I took those out. And you can decide for yourself. I'm going to give you the rules for it, and it's up to you to sort of play with it. I think there's probably some ways to improve the win rate based on some different criteria. Maybe the size of the range, maybe what the previous range did. Um, you know, right now I just pretty much give you the rules and kind of show you what my thinking was on it. So this came about from a couple different things. The trading Robinhood overnight, I liked that idea of having a mechanical process that was just 100% mechanical, right? No, everything's pre-configured for you to decide, where your limits go, where your target is, where your take profit is, all of that. What I didn't like about Robinhood was the 5R loss, right? I mean, that just sucks the wind out of me when I'm up 3 trades, 4 trades, and then I take a loser and I'm down all of a sudden. Even if it plays out for, over the course of time, in some places, I just couldn't get over that psychological barrier. But I still like the method, and I've always been looking for something to sort of mirror that didn't have such a negative side to it. So this kind of takes care of that, and it also takes advantage of something many of us recognize. XSpy has talked about kind of trading this pattern a little bit too. We all know that very often there's an accumulation through Asia and overnight. Then there's a manipulation and a distribution, right? We see that all the time. And a lot of our trades we're kind of looking for the London highs or lows or Asia highs or lows to be swept at some point. And when I went back, and maybe it was trading Robinhood, or maybe it was when I was trading ICT, I don't know, and getting into the AMD stuff, I just noticed that as a recurring pattern. And as traders, we're looking for patterns. We're looking for things that repeat to try to give us an edge. And I think that this approach does take advantage of that. And I tried it, I don't know, a few months ago, when I used a different range and a different take profit, different stop loss. And I had a couple good months with it, and then it just seemed like it sort of faded out. So I went back to kind of revisit it and played with some different settings for the range, and then also changed the take profit and stop loss, and it performed really well. So I'm gonna go back over 6 months with you real quick and just go over the stats and go over the trades. And it's real easy to back test. I use a 15-minute time frame, so you can go way back. And each one of these trades is a day, right? And one thing, when I said you can kind of play with it to maybe maximize the potential, is as we're going through this, look at how much drawdown there is typically. It looks like there's a lot of times when you could have went with maybe half the range stop loss. And I haven't quantified this yet into any sort of statistics, so I don't know. What I'm going to show you is the 1R, 1-to-1 range trade, stop loss, take profit. Maybe there's sometimes when it goes 2 or 3R. There's sometimes when the stop loss could have been half the range, quarter range, I don't know. But just as a starting place, I'm just going for 1-to-1 and kind of look at it from that perspective. So I got one more person I got to mute. All right. So I use this indicator sessions, and it doesn't matter which one you use. You just need to set one for a time, a time frame. I use the 15-minute candle because it fits with this range. I had started with, I think, the 12-minute or the 10. I don't remember which, but because of the time I'm using, 1800 to 0045, the 15-minute candle works really well, and it gives you a lot of days that you can go back and backtest it, and it shows up really easily on the charts, as you can see right here. So this is what I got for this sessions indicator, 1800 to 45. Okay, so Robinhood was like a 4-hour, I believe it was a 4-hour range. And when I started the London sweep strategy, I think I was trying to do something around a 4-hour range also. But the profitable loser strategy, he works off of that 1800 candle, right? It goes away from the 1800 candle, they trade back to the 1800 candle. So in one aspect, you're usually going away from it and then coming back to it, but I'm trading it farther, either depending on, depends on the range, but that's something that's always part of the trade is you're trading back to it, because you start somewhere, you build this range, you take your high and your low. I extend this to show the trade, but the yellow is the range, right? That's the time frame. So you would mark a box if we were just going to mark the range itself, where we would start. It would be this low to this high. Then the trade comes when it breaks one side. So here's a couple different ways. There's like I said, there's other ways to filter for this. You could look for a validated, like if it breaks the top of the range, then you wait for a validated high, right? And then you trade back down. I'm just taking it 100% mechanically, setting a limit right there. When it breaks it, I'm taking the trade. So keep in mind, this is a starting point for a strategy. There's lots of ways to go in and maybe make it better. I haven't spent that much time with it. I'm just trying to kind of show you what the process is to just take advantage of that accumulation, manipulation, distribution, which right here it's perfect. You've got accumulation right up until that time, and then you get this manipulation, and some more accumulation, and then it distributes the other way. So this is the textbook look that we're kind of looking for in this trade, and this repeats a lot. So I wanted to find a way to take advantage of that repetition. To me, that's an edge. If I know something's going to repeat a lot, then I want to try to build a trade around it, and this happens quite often. So here's an accumulation, a manipulation, then a distribution. Accumulation, obviously, little baby manipulation, distribution. Accumulation, manipulation, distribution, right? It just happens a lot, right? Accumulation, manipulation out of the range, distribution back through the range. So that's the idea that we're trying to capitalize on. So I started with, I think, January 3rd. I didn't want to trade the first couple days of January. Obviously, January was a rough month. So was February. But I remember clearly how I was trading beginning of this year, and it was rough. It was really rough. In fact, I gave up on the silver bullet. I started trading AP's scalp at the end of the year, and it was doing really, really well. If y'all watched me, you go back on my Twitter and you saw I was trading it live. I was just killing it. It was really amazing. And then all of a sudden, it got really, really inaccurate. The setups, a lot less setups, I would say, more so than inaccurate. We just weren't getting the same levels of the same kind of moves, and trading was really rough the first couple months of this year. So I remember that clearly. So I'm not too disappointed with even the win rate that this got in January and February. It's definitely been getting better through the months, and we'll kind of see that as we go through. So this was January. Still muting people here. Anybody got any questions so far about the range, anything like that? This number here is the points. It's either plus the size of the range. So, and I rounded it. I didn't do quarter, ticks and all that. I just kind of rounded it to whatever the whole number would be for the points. So like this one right here, 53 to 63.75. So it would have been closer to 34 points or closer to 31 points, but I just made it a 30 point just because I wanted to I did all this this morning, compiled the statistics. So I was kind of in a hurry, and no guarantee that the math is 100%. I did double check some of it, but I made some changes as I was going through it. I found some no trades and things like that. So if my math is off by a little bit, it shouldn't be too far. Most of it I double checked, but I don't know that I double checked all of it. Yeah, I'm recording, Boyo, this time. Double checking. Yep, sound's on, video's on. We're good. All right, so January, 11 wins, 9 losses, 55%. The win streak was 5, the lose streak was 3, and we came up total 168 points to the positive. So, taking that many trades, 20-some trades, I guess, over the course of a month isn't a lot to end up with just 168 points. But if it's something that, to me, if I can find something that just wins, I'll put it on some evals, and I'll run that in the background, and I'll just have, a moneymaker. And if it wins consistently, then I size up a little bit and just kind of see how it goes. But through the 6 months, there was never a losing month. And as you'll see, the last couple months were just bangers. It's definitely been getting better through the year. So happy about that. All right, still muting people. Okay. So like I said, I didn't filter. There was only one day that I filtered a red news day. I didn't even filter it. I just marked it as red news, but I still counted it. Something else to kind of look at. I didn't notice particularly. It seems like there's days when the news actually gives it the win, right? Like here's an 8:30 news candle right here, right? Popped up and then straight down gave the win. So I don't know that I really want to filter news out, because a lot of times that's the manipulation, that drives it through the other side of the range. So I'll probably just leave it on and until I, have reason not to. But so far, I don't think that the news really hurts this that bad. You're giving it plenty of room. So something to consider is it's a counter trend trade, okay? When it's moving up, here's almost, it's from 6 o'clock to almost 1 o'clock. That's 7 hours, okay? So you've got a 7-hour range that you've moved, and you're at the top of that range after 7 hours, or at the bottom, okay? At that time, it's just kind of natural to expect or look for a pullback, and that was kind of the Robin Hood thing too. You would get up certain side of the range, and you take the counter trend trade, and like I said, you're planning on there being a pullback. So after 7 hours, we're up here. It keeps going up. Right here, we would have got into the trade short, and we would have faded, half the range, depending on if you have any kind of break even. I didn't do anything with break even. It was win or lose. So that's another way you can filter out maybe some losers. But either way, even if you use, say, half the range for a stop loss, well, you're gonna filter out some of your losers, some of your winners too. And I don't know if it's beneficial if you filter out enough. The losers, there aren't that many of them, so I don't know if it's worth it to try that. But like I said, there's all kinds of different things you can do with this to sort of try to maximize the winning potential for it. So this was January. On the winners, I put the box to show kind of what the drawdown was. I added the extra box. So all I did was, once I created the range from the high and low of that period, then I just did control, and I moved the exact same size box down and tried to line it up like that. So that gives me my 1 hour stop loss right here. Okay, so we got into the trade right here. The range was broken. I would have went long right here, targeting this side of the box. So here's what the drawdown was, right? Not even half the range. On this one, similar Same thing. This one, half the range wouldn't have covered. This one, very little drawdown. Half the range wouldn't have covered. So I think before I was using half the range as my stop loss, and then I was targeting 3/4 of the range to try to get a little over a 1 hour trade. And like I said, it had some success, it showed some promise, but until I opened up and made it a 1 hour and gave it the extra room to run, if you
Jetzt
think
mal wieder
about
ein
it,
bisschen schlechter, nicht wegen dem Rasenmähen, aber die Tablette stört.
say again.
Eiskalt.
Thank you.
Das ist Bad.
There we go. Like I said, at the end of 7 hours, you've trended up, 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 up. You're giving it basically, that much room to keep going. If it keeps going, it's a trend day. It's probably going to keep going, right? But you give it plenty of room to turn around, and that's it just seems to work that way with giving it that little bit of extra stop, increase the win rate pretty substantially, and gave it consistency over those 6 months. So that's January. At the end of the month, you'd been up 168 points. Win streak 5, lose streak was 3. I don't think the lose streak, there was never a bigger lose streak than win streak, and I think the biggest lose streak was maybe 3, but we'll see as we go through. So this was January, rough month for trading, still came up green. February, um, 10 winners, 8 losers, 56%. Win streak 6, lose streak 3, and plus 155 points. And these are the worst months. So, depending on what kind of size you are, I can't see doing a mini with this with a 50K account, because you'd be, risking basically all your drawdown potentially on one trade, because some of these ranges go 100 points. So a mini times 100 points is $2,000. But if you've got a 250K and you see that those lose streaks very rarely go over 3, or 3 is the max, yeah, I don't know. You might be able to set yourself up to make a buttload of money that way. I was just doing micros, and like I said, just trying to find something in the background that I can run something mechanically that I don't really have to fool with too much. And if it can win and compound over time, then that would be great. So here was a no trade or close in profit, a little bit of profit. You got to kind of figure out, and I don't know if taking the trade past a certain point raises or lowers the win rate. Like I said, I didn't quantify a lot of that stuff yet, but here's one where we would have got into the trade right here at like 9:30. Yeah, 9:30 we would have been triggered into the trade, and then the day ends and you're basically in profit a little bit, right? You're not going to carry it unless you've got a cash account, or you're going to want to carry it past the break, something like that. But personally, I'm not, so I would have got out in here somewhere just in profit. So no trade over 120 points. So if it's 121 points or over, I'm just not going to take it, just because, like I said, I filtered out a couple that were, I had a lot of winners that were 110, 115, even 120, but anything over 120 lost. So that's where I drew the line. Now, if a year from now there's a whole bunch of 140-point winners, then maybe I readdress that. But for right now, I just took those out, because if it gets to be too big, then most likely you're in the middle of something, and that seems to be a bad sign. So. And I was trying to see, I was kind of comparing this to the DR range. I used to try to trade DR based on whether or not the one range was inside, right? Like if you mark this off as a range, maybe without this box, because this is the actual, you would take that off and try to find if there's anything to a pattern that shows, winning more one way than the other. I don't know. Hey Lambo. Yeah, that would be over 3K with one mini. And like I said though, um, you're only a couple trades away from being negative with a mini too, because a lot of these are 80, 90 points, 70 points. So um, I think it's one of those kind of deals where if I'm up, maybe I risk a little more, just to try to use the bank's money and gamble a little bit. But if just I want to be somewhere where I know I can lose a few trades and not blow my account. So well, like I said, we'll pay attention to the lose streaks versus the win streaks and kind of go with that. It definitely wins more than it loses, but because each trade has a different range size, that you can have a lot more wins, but maybe the losers were bigger or vice versa. So that's why I went ahead and added the points in this morning, because just the win rate doesn't really tell the story. So this was February. March, a little bit better. Points wise, same thing. Max lose streak 3. I think this is where our contract rolled over. So there was this gap difference here. I'm running this on NQ1 because I wanted to go back. You can do it however you want to do it. I just wanted to not have to worry about changing contracts. I also wasn't sure about the daylight savings time. So I think when I started actually recording my spreadsheet, I started in March because I wasn't sure that I had this right. But I guess, yeah, I don't really know. I mean, I've got it all set for New York now. So I don't know if TradeAvate or TradingView automatically gives me the right time back then or not. So if it's off by an hour, then just have to figure it out. I don't know. So pretty much everything traded this month. Didn't have any no trades. Didn't have anything over 120 points. So, that's March. Gotta mute you. Then April. All right, April's plus 850 points. Okay, so we're starting to get into some better. It started getting, and I don't know. I hope I didn't add that in there. I don't think I did. No, I didn't. No trade on this day because of, again, a really suspicious candle at 1800. You don't see this. This candle is 112 points at 6 o'clock. So when I saw that, I was like, man, yeah, I wouldn't take that just because it's an abnormality, and I'm always going to err to the side of caution. If I see something that doesn't look right, I'm just going to pass on the trade, because to me that's it's one of those deals where I try to think about how I'll feel if I lose. Right? If I take a trade and something doesn't look right and then I lose, I'm going to kick myself. If I win, I'm going to feel like I got lucky. But if I lose, I'd be like, well, dummy, you saw a 112 point candle at 6 o'clock. Something's not right. So I passed on this one. And I don't know. Yeah, it ticked in and barely didn't win, right? So we would have got into the trade right here. And who knows? I mean, I'd have probably taken profit there if I was in the trade and I was watching it. I'm pretty sure I would have. As soon as that doji candle hit, I'd have just got out and took my money. So, but still, to try to keep it real with what I feel like I would have traded, I would have left that one out. And then, so right, accumulation, some manipulation, big distribution. Accumulation, manipulation, big distribution. It's just over and over and over, right? And this is a lot of accumulation to these days right here. It's not a very wide range, but it still, it still gets the job done, even if it's barely. I like that some of the losers are really small. When you see something like this is a news candle here, obviously. This is Wednesday, so maybe CPI or PPI or something like that, FOMC, I don't know. Maybe you trade this, maybe you don't. I don't know, like I said. accumulation, up, down, accumulation, down, up.
कर लो रन चल रही है तो जाओ जाके नेक्स्ट Shirley.
Gotta turn you down. So here's one that was 360 points basically. It did win, but I wouldn't have traded that just on the chance that I lost. It'd be too much. So big, huge dump, big pushback, big dump, kind of a seek and destroy type thing. Obviously if it would have worked out great, but I'm trying to think about how I'm going to feel if I lose. If I take a trade on a range that's that big, I feel like I'm just getting greedy. I feel like it was against my best interest on the chance that I did lose. So again, this could have been a huge winner, but I honestly wouldn't have traded it when I would have seen that range. I would have just passed. Accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Accumulation, manipulation, distribution. Right? I mean, that's a pattern. That's something we recognize that happens regularly. Let's find some edge to that and make money off it. I mean, if they're going to give us that, then we need to find a way to take it, because you just don't get that many opportunities to see something that happens over and over and over and over. You got to turn it into a trade somehow. That's the way I look at it. Okay, next month. This is May. May was a great month. 18-5. Win streak 9, lose streak 2, up 614 points. And it's just the same thing. I mean, right? Just the same thing. That looks like news right there at 8:30. It was. But that was what pushed it through the range. So I don't know that news is necessarily a bad thing. So here's our range. Here's where we get in. No drawdown. Absolutely no drawdown. I mean, look at the drawdown on some of these. There's just none. It breaks the bottom of that range, and then it turns around a lot of times. So it tells me that this is a good range to use. This 7 hours. When it gets to the bottom of it, it's time to turn around, and it generally does turn around in that area. A little winner here. Accumulation, manipulation down, distribution back up. Accumulation comes back up, dumps. Here's another one that just never really closed, but it would have been a short, and towards the end of the day we'd have been down here somewhere, probably would have got out in profit, right? Or even break even, somewhere around there. It's almost 2 o'clock right here, so at some point in here it's time to get out. This is a news candle, and the news candle is what actually pushes it through the bottom of the range. So a lot of the time it's the news candle that sweeps what we're trying to hit. So that's why I didn't really want to take that out. And it seems like the news candle usually works in my favor, and giving it that much room, it gives it some room for a spike if it wants to spike up. Here's another one right here. 8:30. We're long, right? And the news candle pushes us out. So yes, time-based sell disc. So I had this indicator that I use called sessions, and I set it for 1800 to 1245. That gives us the 1800 candle in the range, and midnight price is in the range. So we look for it to go away from those and come back to them, and generally, also go past it because of the Asia overnight highs or lows. So that's what we're targeting. Yeah, Lambo. The AMD is just, I got it from ICT. It might be something else also, but it's just this higher time frame look of price, spending some time accumulating through the night, and then either just before the open or maybe Londonish time, you get a manipulation one way and then a big distribution the other way. And it's just a reoccurring pattern because that's liquidity. That's liquidity being generated overnight, low volume. Creates these highs and lows for London or New York to then sweep one way, sweep the other way, and then take off, for a new direction. It just repeats. So this is my way to try to capture that in a trading idea that recognizes that pattern. So that ends right at 005. Yeah, teenagers. So that would be, that's the 45 candle right there. So it ends at 45, I think. Or starts at, shit, I don't know. It confuses me because I think it's backwards from Ninja. The range goes to 45. So this would be the 45 candle. Maybe it's the first one that's outside of it. But if you set the indicator to that, it gives you this range. And I don't think one candle is going to matter one way or the other. Like I said, I wanted to be after midnight, before London, and somewhere in there. So usually around that time, that one candle is not going to be the difference if it's one way or the other. So just something to play with. I'm usually set up on the 1 minute, but it's just, when it breaks, whatever time. Here was, closing profit. The indicator is the yellow line, the yellow boxes, this right here, and then I drew these in. So if you use the sessions indicator, it gives you those. Well, the entry would just be like, so at this point, let me find one here. Which month were we in here? April? Yeah, we're in May. Okay, so an entry would just be, so if we're looking at this day right here, when you're waiting for price for the range to close, you would build a box from the high to the low. Okay, so at this time right here, you draw the box, and now you got a limit order to go long here and a limit order to go short here. Or if you're watching it, you just wait and place your limit order. Obviously you don't want to leave two limit orders open, or you'd have to cancel one of them. So your entry would just be when the box is broken. So if you had a limit order at the top and a limit order at the bottom, right here you'd be triggered in long. Right here, as soon as it broke the box, you'd be triggered in long. And then you would measure one full 1R for your stop loss, and then your target is up here, so it would look like this. Like that. That would be your trade. Make sense? Okay. And it's the other way for something that's going short, obviously. So on this one, you got your box, you extend it, right? Right here you're short as soon as you break the box, and you can just use the tool and make it a 1R, 1R trade. It's 1R. That's the same as just moving this up. Oops. Something like that. So here you went short, boom, your money right away. No drawdown. Target and stop loss is one range. Yes, it's a 1R trade. And like I say, it's something you can play with, but a lot of times, you know, you don't get 2R. A lot of times you don't get 1.5R. So I don't know how much it happens to where if it's worth it or not. For right now, I'm just kind of getting this trade out there as a 1R trade, and then hoping you guys, you know, add your own ideas to it. Maybe, you know, improve, post some stuff in the Discord in the channel. We got a channel for this London strat. I'm going to put the video in that channel, and hopefully you guys will jump in, and I'm going to make this backtest available so you can already use what I've got to kind of see, so you don't have to go back through and do all this yourself. This will be posted in there also. So May was killer. 9 win streak of 9, only lost 2, 614 points. Can we drop lower one time frame, for example? Yes, you certainly can. Yep. I don't know that the flip on the 1 minute is a strong enough signal. I think all that happens is a lot of times you get faked out. But if you use the 5 minute or 10 minute and got a flip, I think that would be a better chance of catching the actual reversal. Now, Lambo, no hedging on this one. I was keeping track of how many times the hedge won. Like, so for example, if you were to hedge this, and I'm not saying it's not an idea, I just didn't get to that yet. I started looking at it, and results were okay. You know, the hedge definitely wins sometimes. But normally what you'd want to do is take, like, you're not going to use the full range for your hedge. You're going to maybe go half the size of the range, and then size up to make up the difference here. So if you wanted to just hedge to break even, you could go double contracts half the size, and that would have paid for your loss. You would have got your loss back. If you want to try to win, then like with Robinhood, you'd make this still muting people. You'd make this a 3 or 4 contract 4x size. Only problem is if it goes against you, then you're down 5R, and that was too much for me. So I think the win rate is a good enough starting point to not hedge, but there's definitely room in there to do some calculations on the losses to see if a hedge, you know, would have, or on the wins, no, on the losses. Like on this one, hedge would have won, obviously, because it kept going. Hedge would have won, kept going. Hedge would have won, kept going. Hedge would have won, kept going. So hedge would have won, kept going. Hedge would have won. So, and everything I showed you, the hedge would have won, but I didn't put that in there. Like I said, my idea was to try to get away from the 5R losses for me personally. I don't think it's a bad idea. I just wanted to start with this and then maybe, you know, go from there. You look for price closing out of the range. No, just a wick. If it wicks through the range, I'm in. That makes it easy to just set a limit order and not have to think about it. Otherwise, you have to watch every candle to see if it's a close or a wick. And generally the wick, I haven't seen it happen enough where it wicks and you know, would have made a difference. All right, so here's June. For what we had, yeah, here's June. So 14 wins, 5 losses, win streak 8, lose streak 2. And one of these, yeah, on this one, the win streak was 4, but it happened 3 times, right? So there were 4 streaks of 4 in a row, and there was never more than 1 loss in a row. So that's, I mean, that would have been an amazing month, right? For the couple slow months that we started with, still winning, right? There was never a red month. You're always up at least 160, 150 points, and then 200 points. So for the first 3 months of this year, which were, especially the first couple months, which were slower, difficult to trade, for me anyway, would have carried it, you know, taking the trade every day. And then it just explodes in April, and 850 points, 614 points, and 600 points. So, you know, I don't know how far back you have to go anymore to judge whether or not something's worth trading. I've gotten to the point where I'm looking at, if it's good for a couple of months, I'll trade it till it stops being good, right? If I can get a couple green months up and then, you know, hold a couple bad months and just see how it goes, I'm not going to go in the hole too far. But with this, those first few months would have kept me in the game, and now I would have been like just killing it, you know, with these last 3 months. And then, so this month, here was the red folder. Like I said, I don't know that it's worth filtering them out because there's a lot of red folder winners. So I think I would have just taken the loss on that. In a lot of occasions on these red folder days, you're going to have not a huge range leading up to it. As we know from like leading up on the FMP or FMOC, overnight in London, a lot of time it's just a real tight consolidation, and then we get our big move. So if you're going to lose one, that's probably the one to lose because it was a small range. And this was just a great month. Here was another one. Never really got an opportunity to take profit or why did I have that as a no trade? Hold on. I think it was just this was like a close-in profit. It never stopped out. It never targeted. You could have got your break even or take profit here towards the end of the day. Yeah, you'd have been pretty much flat on this one. So most times it's going to give you one side or the other, and then occasionally not. So that's it. Any questions? I think I pretty much covered everything. I think it definitely has potential. Especially, you know, a lot of the stuff I've been doing lately and putting in the Discord has been scalping stuff. So I also wanted to get something out there that people trading CFDs can use. People that, you know, trade at night that are not wanting to be on the minute time frame. Some people just don't prefer that level of intensity. This is pretty low key. You can be doing something in the background and just, you know, set your trade up and go about your business. Uh, 15-minute time frame, 1800 to 45. Limit orders top and bottom, targeting other side. Yes. Yes. Stop loss sizes, range size. Yes. Yeah, you got it, sell this. Lambo says, I also have another idea using 2 different accounts and using 2 different assets. Replicanto in stealth mode is not submitting limit orders before execution. Not sure if this is correct. Yeah, whatever you can do, and you know, add information. Put it in the channel. We've got this channel right. Where is it? Why is my thing acting up? There. So this is one of the strategies. In the strategy section, I'll probably delete a bunch of this stuff and start over and just pin the video, and whatever you guys want to add to it to help us out would be amazing. That's what this Discord's for. I'm not saying this is the be all end all, but I you know, try to find something that I'm going to work with, and that you guys can also maybe look at and try to take it apart. And you know, I know teenagers will probably come up with something on it. Who knows? ProJ might come up with something for indicator wise or something. I don't know, for back testing, to be able to run some different scenarios as far as what happens with a hedge. Because I mean, the hedge is definitely viable. I mean, if you look at the losers, every loser hedge wins. So you could almost eliminate. Holy crap. Damn. Now here's one that maybe the hedge would have lost on. Let me see. And this is one of those red folder days too, also, obviously. But we would have went short right here. Right? Short. Almost take profit, but didn't quite hit. At some point here, you probably have, I mean, I'm probably breaking even at some point. If it gets that close to my whatever, I'm probably taking profit at half. I don't know. I've got to come up with something, because I'm never going to lose this. I'm just not going to take a loss when I'm this close to winning. So it's either going to be a break even at, you know, somewhere deep down in here. I'm going to take a break even. Kind of like when I'm using a 10-point stop loss, I put a 7-point break even or a 10-point target. So I'll let it go over half, but I'm not going to take a loss once it gets that far. So hedge probably wouldn't have won on this one. Let's see. We'll take half the box and just. Yeah, hedge wouldn't have won on that one. But on every other one I looked at, the hedge had won. So, all right, so maybe we do hedge this. I'm looking at every loss. Every loss is a hedge winner. Easy. Every loss. Huge hedge winner. No problem. 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 All right, well, maybe I changed my mind, right? No problem. No problem. No problem. No problem. No problem. Yep. All right, so hedge is on. If I can eliminate all but one loss in 6 months from hedging, that's probably going to be the way to go. So we'll definitely have to play with that some. Dang, I don't know how I didn't notice that, because, like I said, I started keeping actual. Well, it looked like it was winning as I was doing it, and then for whatever reason, I just remembered in my mind that the whole idea of this was try to get away from that. And then I stopped keeping track. But now as I'm looking at it in hindsight here, kind of just going back over it, I'm like, man, it sure looks like it would make sense. You know what? It might make sense to go for a win, a bigger win on the hedge. As much as these odds play out, if you're playing probabilities, holy crap. Yeah, definitely going to be something to that. So that just makes it all the better. Woodson, I've been trying to find a strategy to trade for overnight, early in the morning before work. Okay, good deal. So this got data for last year. Look into it. Yeah, do what you can. Only trade the hedge. Yeah, I know, right? Well, I think it wins enough to where I'd want to take the normal trade itself too, because those are great odds and points just taking the normal trade. If you can do both. If you do both, you're doubling your winnings or more. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to lose this 200 points or this 850 points from just the regular trades as well, because it's got a high enough hit rate. So I would probably just start with, I'm going to take the trade, and then I don't know. I have this thing about wanting to try something and then it turns around right when I start it. So as soon as I start hedging it, I take two 5 hour losses in a row. It's going to knock me out of the whole, it's going to take me out of the whole strategy probably. I'd be discouraged. But I would just maybe just drop the hedge. I don't know. Like I said, there's enough here right now for me to just take the trade and be happy. But now that I'm looking at the results also, it looks like when it does break that range, it looks like it keeps going. So get some more data on that. Yeah, glad to have you, Lambo. We're all about trying to, get better together, find stuff that works. I've said many times, I'm going to leave no stone unturned until I can beat this market and show as many of you as possible how to as well. Trailing after it hits TP, I think, is the way to get more. Yeah, always trailing is definitely an option. You usually have to give up a little to get that, though. So you have to figure out how much you can let it come against you. You can't just start trailing, at here. You got to start trailing. You got to give it some room from where you trail. So you're giving it some room to come against you. But that's where the back testing comes in. That's where, if we can get some data. This is 6 months worth. So, that's, they say 100 trades. This is well over 100 trades. That's like 22 a month. So, pushing 130 trades for 6 months. And I took the worst time of the year, the first couple months, which were the worst time of the year so far. So pretty even attempt to be accurate with, the information, I think. And it's all right here. I mean, so yeah, I'm going to copy this off into a separate spreadsheet. And, oh wait, oh man, I forgot. This isn't my spreadsheet. This is my chart. That's not going to be as beneficial. I'll copy each month into its own picture and drop it into the Discord. So at least you kind of have an idea, what it looked like. This works probably. You'll be able to do that.
Like we got to go on a play laser tag for a few minutes with it.
Yeah, London sweep. And as soon as I'm done with the video, as soon as it's posted, it'll go there at the top. I'm probably going to, I'll erase everything that's in there now. We'll just start fresh. I'll drop the video. I'll drop the pictures. I had a spreadsheet somewhere. Let me see. So this was my original London sweep. And I was tracking hedge wins. And I had a couple 3 months here, I think. I had March and April. And had really good results for just the regular one, but then it seemed to fade after that. So London sweep 2, this was as far as I got. So why did I have a hedge loss? Let's double check, see if I'm hedge loss on March 14th. Why would I call that a hedge loss? That's not a hedge loss. So for whatever reason, yeah, that's definitely not a hedge loss. So it was probably 4 o'clock in the morning when I was doing that for whatever reason. But after 2 hedge losses in that little bit of time, I think that's why I decided against it. Now I want to double check real quick and see if I was even right. And I had a hedge loss on the 21st also. Oh, okay, that's the thing. you have to double. I wasn't doubling the boxes. So like this would have been a hedge loss. I think we would have went short right here. No, that would have been a hedge win too. Really? Hold on. So we went short here. We never got stopped out. And then half the box. Yeah, it's a hedge win. Alright, so I don't know what I was thinking. Hey Blasky, good to see you. So the hedge trade is, so say you have your stop loss, right? Here's your, you went short right here when you broke the box, broke the range, so you're going short. This is your stop loss. If it goes through your stop loss, how far does it go through, right? Because if you put a hedge up here, say half of the range, and you bought 2 contracts for half the range, you could have turned this into a break-even trade, okay? Because now you're long here. Now you're long times 2, which erases this loss. Or if you went long times 4, then you actually end up 1R to the win. So it's the same as you would have made 56 points positive if you'd went 4R here. It's just like Robinhood. It's the exact same thing. Robinhood had a hedge that was half the size of the range. But if you go negative, then you're 4 times, your 1 loss, you got a 1R loss, and then a 4R loss coming back through makes it a minus 5R trade. So that'd be minus 280 points, right? If you lost that. That's why you got to be careful with that. So it's great when it wins, and it looks like it wins a lot. In fact, I think I only saw 1 loss out of all the losses that would have been a hedge loss. So, use with caution. Hey, good to see you, futures trader, or Yama as we used to call you. Any other questions? This has been, how long are we on this video? It's been an hour, so that's a good size, good video. So lots of points, lots of money, nice win rate, great potential for a hedge. Now that I'm looking back at it, I might buy some evals that I just don't care about and see if I can carry them into PAs, and if I can, I just keep on playing them, right? I mean, that's kind of what this is for. I'm not going to bet the house on it, but if it carries and continues to compound at this rate or even close to it, it's big money. And with any improvements that we can make to it, yeah, I got the recording, Blasky, so we're good there. And again, it's just taking advantage of accumulation, manipulation, distribution from, through the whole day, London. And it was just something I was playing with. I was drawing these boxes across, and I was watching how many times the box got traversed. Almost always, if I drew that box across, it got broke. It got broke all the time. And I was like, how can I make that a trade? And that's what, that's what led me down this road. Yes, it'll be a YouTube, and I'll put it in the channel as well. The London Sweep channel. Alrighty. Any other questions? Anything? Yep, you bet. Hope you can make something out of it, improve it. We all benefit. So now we got hopefully several people that will be working on it and find some sauce. If someone wants to, compile some stats on that hedge, that would be amazing. Sweeping together soon. Yeah. Yeah, build a strat on NT. That'd be great. Backtest the heck out of it. It'd be great if we, could look at last year and see, just for a confidence factor, because I don't know, seasonality, things like that. But like I said, it carried through the worst part of the year with in profit, not a ton, but a couple hundred points at the end of the month. So, and it's mechanical. I mean, that's one of the beauties of it, is we all want something that's mechanical. We don't have to think about it, don't have to worry about it, don't have to try to figure out if I'm making the right move, the wrong move. Am I screwing myself here? Should I have waited? This liquidity, that liquidity. It's just a mechanical trade, right? You got everything defined, everything is set, everything's automatic. So hopefully we can make something out of it. Yep. Yeah, right on, Pro J. Hope so. Pure mechanic. Yep. Yeah, I'm going to put some Bullinox on it also. Like 5 of them. Now that they're 90% off, I'm going to buy me up 5 more. Yep, you too, Lambo. Was the marked boxes on this chart from the indicator I saw on X? No, that was for the Omaha zones. That was a different indicator. We don't have an indicator for this yet. Sounds like one might be coming though, or at least something that predefines everything for you and shows you where to put your limits and all that. Yep, share the results for sure, Boyle. Alrighty, looks like that's it. You guys have a great day, and we will pick it up Monday. Thanks, everybody.